Black college sports and then some. We got it right here on HSRN The Network, the voice of HBCU sports.
You are listening to Green Talk for Brown Folks with Ryan Marshall on HSRN.
Welcome back, everybody, to Green Talk for Brown Folks. This is your host, Ryan Marshall. Okay, this is episode 7, Traveling on a Budget Part 2. We are going to continue our conversation and our interview with Jenn and Mark, the travel bloggers and photographers that share some incredible tips on how to be able to travel on a budget. This duo, this pair, traveled across the country, and they were out on the road for 5 months living out of their Subaru Outback. And they're going to talk about a little bit about how they even got into that particular lifestyle and some of the things that they did to cut costs and live while traveling in their Subaru Outback to the great outdoors. Hey, I mean, obviously, you know, if you're going to have a vehicle to be able to do it, that would be one of the best vehicles to be able to do it. So without further ado, here's the continuation of the conversation with Jenn and Mark, and they kind of go into how they got started living their particular lifestyle here on GTBF, Green Talk for Brown Folks.
Tell me why you decided to do this, go across the country, living out of your Outback for 5 months.
Yeah, we were both kind of discontented with our lives as they were. We both wanted to travel more, and you know, we were basically living not quite paycheck to paycheck, but just about. Yeah. And so, and they weren't really jobs that we loved, you know, they weren't really career building jobs, and so we just figured,
to get by.
Yeah, let's shake things up a bit, you know, and just get on the road. We're going to travel like we want to. And I don't know, maybe it was just kind of an excuse to travel. I think maybe we, during COVID, we were supposed to take a trip to Norway for a month, and that didn't happen. And so maybe that was kind of something that set us off.
It's exactly what sparked us. Yeah. Yep.
That's very cool.
And you know, I was going through some really hard personal stuff during the pandemic and a little bit before the pandemic, and staying inside, I just couldn't do. So I just was like, if we're not going to Norway, we need to do something. We have to get out. We have to see something. We have to get out of these. We have to get out of this apartment and just see whatever. And it was the best form of healing that I've ever been exposed to. And just getting out of my comfort zone in that way and doing that really helped me get through what I was getting through. So I really can't explain enough how much that really saved me. So.
And it's worth noting that we kind of did the math and realized that living on the road would be significantly cheaper than living in an apartment, you know? And so it was probably about half as expensive as living in an apartment.
We calculated that how much money we've both saved up. We both calculated that during the time, how am I supposed to say it? What am I trying to say? During the time that we were on the road, we were calculating both of our expenses, and we pretty much figured out that we could live comfortably on the road for at least a year.
On about $1,000 a month.
Yes.
Is what we came out to.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow. Now, we don't recommend, I wouldn't say recommend, I don't suggest that everybody just throw away their lives and just go travel on the road and live in a Subaru Outback for 5 months and live this minimalist lifestyle. I think that's something that worked for you, and that was fantastic. And a lot of people are always trying to find ways to reduce their monthly expenditures. And one of the ways that you guys were able to do it was to, hey, this is something that we want to do. Get out of our apartment lease, go and travel the country, live this minimalist lifestyle, which I think was great and it worked for you. I think what I want to focus on is for the people that want to travel, maybe say a week or so or 2 weeks, because you guys were out there for 5 months. And so I'm sure that 5 months you still had to find ways to earn income, because you're not out there you're not at one stationary place with a job or anything like that. You had to find ways to earn income. So for the people out there, I'd love to know, how did you sustain the income? Because even living a minimalist lifestyle, it takes money to do. You got to have gas. You got to, maybe buy the food. You got to, if you want to stay someplace, or at a campground or something. How did you get the income to do that?
Well, our method was to save enough before we left. So on the road, we were not bringing in any kind of income, unfortunately. We could have, though. We could have picked up like DoorDash or some kind of like Postmates or something like that to make some extra money, but we didn't. But this time around, the second round, you could call it, I think we're gonna go in with more of a game plan. So we're gonna have some kind of remote work in line so we can sustain the lifestyle for longer.
So we're just now getting into our interview with Jenn and Mark, and I'm so excited for you to hear what they did with their experience and how they were able to reduce their amount of cash that they were kicking out during their trip across the country. That'll be up on the next segment. This is your host, Ryan Marshall. We'll continue more of our conversation on GTBF, Green Talk for Brown Folks. We'll be right back.
You are listening to Green Talk for Brown Folks with Ryan Marshall on HSRN.
Welcome back, everybody, to GTBF Green Talk for Brown Folks. I'm your host, Ryan Marshall. I was really excited to talk with these two, Jenn and Mark, about their traveling experience. Here's a continuation of our interview, my interview with Jenn and Mark.
So having the money that you had in the beginning, you had to make that work for 5 months. So we've got some listeners here that have family, and